Hey everyone, welcome to this week's new video at Visiting the Dutch Countryside. For the ones who are new here, my name is Manon and I am Dutch. And at Visiting the Dutch Countryside, you'll be discovering the Netherlands beyond the crowds with me, your favorite local, in case you didn't know it. Anyway, this week's video is going to be all about public transportation in the Netherlands, which is, pretty useful when you're traveling here or when you're planning on living here, anything. So yeah, let's head into this video. So, one of the main things that I love about the Netherlands is how good our public transportation system is. And if any Dutch person is watching this, they will probably be thinking like, oh my god, what are you saying? It's not that great, it's always late. No, honestly, our system is really good. Even the small villages, most of the small villages, have buses that run once an hour or sometimes a few times a day. But most of them have even bus services, and then the bigger towns and cities, they all have at least one train station. We're really spoiled over here and people do not realize it, but public transportation is really good in the Netherlands. But it's not cheap, I will tell you that. It's pretty expensive, but it works really good. Just so you know, add a bit of extra budget to your budget if you're traveling to the Netherlands and are planning to use public transportation. And I will also always recommend you to use the website or the app. I always use the app. It's called 9292 or 9292.nl/en for the English version. Yeah, it has the prices of the journey that you want to take, a public transportation journey. It shows the fastest route, yada yada yada. So use that, download the app, do not let it out of your sight. And yeah, you can use that one to budget as well and plan your trips a bit. So first thing first, if you're traveling by train in the Netherlands, there's no need to reserve a spot unless you use the ICE train, which runs to Germany, or the Thalys, which runs to Paris, or the Eurostar, which runs to London. Then you need to reserve a spot in advance. For the normal trains and things like that in the Netherlands, no need to reserve. You buy a ticket or you check in and then you're in the train. So I can highly recommend you to buy an OV chip card when you're in the Netherlands and when you're planning on using the public transportation. You know, if you think of just visiting Amsterdam, then you can use a travel card if you're planning on using a lot of transportation. But if you're planning on visiting more than Amsterdam, which I would recommend you to do because this country is so much more than Amsterdam, trust me, honestly, I would really recommend you to buy an OV chip card. And you can get an OV chip card at tourism office, or at train stations which have a service desk, as well as at kiosks, you know, those places at Schiphol Airport for instance. So the OV chip card is, a card the size of a credit card. So you can use the OV chip card for every public transportation service in the Netherlands. So you've got buses, trams, metros, trains. Yeah, just remember that Flixbus and those kind of things, those are not part of a public transportation system. So if you've got yourself an OV chip card, if you want to use the train, you need to have at least 20 euros on your card, otherwise you cannot check in. And if you want to use the bus or tram, it's usually, or metro, it's usually 5 euros that you need to have on your card. So just make sure that you always have enough, because otherwise, just imagine you're rushing and you're like, oh my god, my train, and you want to check in and you cannot enter because you don't have enough money on it, so that sucks. But yeah, I've been saying quite a bit of check-in things with the card. So if you want to, let's say you want to enter a train, then you enter through the train station. Some train stations have gates, and then you need to put the card in front of a little circle that it has, which has OV chip, and then it makes a sound that it checks you in, and then the gates open and you can walk through it and you can catch your train. However, quite a lot of stations do not have those gates. They simply have a pole which you need to check in and check out. Never forget to check in or check out, because otherwise you'll get fines. They're expensive fines if you do not check in. So those poles, they are standing on the platform, always on the platform. You can always see them. Check in when you want to catch the train, check out when you want to leave. So you get out of the train, you walk onto the platform and you check out. For the trains in the Netherlands, you can also get an e-ticket for which you need to have a specific date, because otherwise you can't use it. So then you also need to check in, check out. With e-tickets you can now walk through the gates, but there's no need to check in and check out with e-tickets. Get a ticket from a specific destination for a specific date from a specific destination and to one. So there's no need for that. There's a train in the Netherlands that is called the Intercity Direct, and it goes from Amsterdam to Brussels. Between Amsterdam Schiphol Airport and Rotterdam, you'll need to pay an extra fee, and you need to validate that fee on your OV-chip card, or if you buy a ticket at the ticket machine. So for the Intercity Direct, if you need to use the part of between Amsterdam Schiphol and Rotterdam Centraal, then you need to walk onto the platform and you will see another pole. And it is a pole with a red sticker on it, red round sticker on it, and then you need to tap it and you will pay for the extra fee. So you need to do that because they check it quite often, and if you do not do it, then well, the fines are not fun. So there's another thing that doesn't always make it easy, but NS is the biggest train provider in the Netherlands basically. But NS is not the only provider that we have. So, for instance, we also have the company of Arriva. Sometimes you need to change trains. And if you're using an OV-chip card, then you need to, and you start your journey in a train from the NS company, and you need to transfer to a train from Arriva, for instance. Then you need to, on the platform where you need to change trains, you get out of the NS train, you see two poles. One pole of NS and one pole next to it of Arriva. It will say which one it is. You will see the names of the company on the poles. So you need to check out at the NS one and need to tap in, so check in at the Arriva one, and then you can go into the Arriva train. If you do not change, then you can get fined too. It's not always easy, that, especially if you're not used to it. So if you transfer train companies, this is just about trains, not about anything else, just trains. If you transfer train companies, do not forget to check in out and check in again for the other company. So, buses. We have buses in most places in the Netherlands, even in the smaller villages. In the city of Arnhem you will find trolley buses, which is the only city in the Netherlands that still has those kind of buses. But in the rest of the Netherlands you will just find regular buses. These are regular too, but they're just trolley. So in the smaller towns and villages we have something that we call buurtbussen. Those are small buses. They're driven by volunteers and they usually start their shift around 7, and their last shift, it depends on the area, but it's roughly between 6 and 7 indeed. So those are there and they run usually once an hour. Then you've got the regular buses that are big, but sometimes run once an hour, sometimes run twice an hour. In bigger cities buses are everywhere, but if you want to head to the countryside, really check in advance on the 9292 website or app that I told you about, because you do not want to miss the bus and wait another hour or more hours, so that's not fun. We also have quite a few long distance buses. I know the Netherlands is exactly what we call long distance, but for us it is. So for instance, you've got a bus that runs directly from Alkmaar to the city of Leeuwarden, which is found in the province of Friesland, which is the capital. And that is a faster bus, and it's also more expensive, but it's the fastest way to get there. So we have a few of those buses that are really fast, but you know, it saves you time, but it costs you more money, so it depends what you want to do. And we also have night buses, but night buses are mostly in the big cities and often more expensive, but cheaper than a taxi. So metros in the Netherlands, we have two cities that have metros. One is Rotterdam, the other is Amsterdam. In Rotterdam and Amsterdam, well, mainly in Rotterdam, the metro stretches to some towns that are essentially nowadays connected to Rotterdam. In Amsterdam it heads to the outskirts of the city, but not much further, to some places that used to not belong to Amsterdam, but nowadays it's part of Amsterdam. So, but yeah, just Amsterdam and Rotterdam, they have metros. So in bigger cities you also have trams, and trams together with cycling are often the quickest ways to get around cities in the Netherlands. So we've got trams in cities such as Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague and Utrecht. And it often stretches to, you know, the really connected towns to the cities as well. But yeah, it doesn't go much further. But it's really convenient and really fast. But yeah, so we've got 5 airports in the Netherlands. We have Maastricht-Agen, which is down in the south, Maastricht. Then we've got Eindhoven Airport, which is in the province of North Brabant, the city of Eindhoven. Then you've got Rotterdam The Hague Airport, Rotterdam and The Hague. You've got Amsterdam Schiphol Airport, Amsterdam. And you've got Groningen Eelde Airport, which is in the province of Groningen. The main international hub is Schiphol. It's the biggest airport in the Netherlands, and it is also the place where most people transfer to other destinations in Europe, to other places in the world. If you want to travel a bit cheaper and you want to use budget airlines, Transavia is a really good Dutch budget airline. KLM is Royal Dutch Airlines, and they fly from Amsterdam. But Transavia flies from Eindhoven and Rotterdam The Hague, and it's a really good budget airline. And Rotterdam The Hague and Eindhoven are both really good airports for, well, not just the budget airline of Transavia, but there are other budget airlines there as well, such as Ryanair and Wizz Air. Yeah, we've got 5 airports in the Netherlands. Amsterdam is the main hub. I hope this was useful. This was it for this week's video. I hope it was useful and that you've learned something and that you're hopefully not getting a fine in a train or something like that. Really hope that these tips will help. Will not leave you clueless when you're traveling around the country, because it's not always a nice feeling to have. You know? When you think, oh, it should be so easy, and then it is, but you don't know that it is easy. So now you know. You're welcome. Thank you so much for watching this week's video about public transportation in the Netherlands and how it works, etc. Anyway, I hope you liked this week's video. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe with the little notification bell. And you can now also subscribe to my Patreon to get your name in this video. Well, not this video, the next one. But yeah, and plenty more other things. So yeah, a big thank you to my Patreons, and I will see you next time.